Welcome to the Build Better Blueprint, the podcast where we discuss the foundations of real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Join Christian Cardamone as he shares insights, strategies, and stories that will empower you to level up your business, your lifestyle, and your impact. Let's build a better blueprint for success, starting now.
Hey, this is Christian Cardamone. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Build Better Blueprint. Today, folks, I've got a real treat for Mr. Eric Nelson. He's a real estate investor, coach, and founder of Wild Oak Capital. He started in single-family homes and over the past 12 years has grown his portfolio to over 1,000 multifamily units. He's originally from Colorado, and Eric now lives in Spain with his family, where he continues to invest and coach other motivated investors through his mastermind, Cash Flow to Freedom. His focus is on helping people create more time and freedom in their lives by investing in real estate the right way, with a strong mindset and the right support. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Nelson, how are you, man?
Good, Christian. Thanks for having me on, man. My honor to be here. So I'm excited to chat.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. And I just said good morning to you offline, and then I realized it is 4:00 where you are. So I'm slugging coffee, and you're probably ready for like an Aperol Spritz right about now.
That's right. I'm about ready to head for some vermouth or some wine. The vermouth here is really good. That's kind of the local drink, but yeah, it's headed that way. But no, it's awesome to be here. Thanks for recording in the morning so I could be in the afternoon. It's awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure. Before we jump into the serious subject matter, is life in Europe like is idealistic as we think it is? Like, do you have like a spritz at all times and like suntan and eating croissants and olives? Just curious.
The simple answer is yeah. I mean, I think for us, it's pretty cool. I mean, our kids are in school all day, and we've taken a very serious step back from work, I guess you could say. I mean, I guess more of a better way to say it would be like things we have to do. So my wife and I get a lot of time together during the day. Like today we made lunch and we're kind of sitting on the balcony for a long time, and we're thinking, man, kind of have to pinch yourself. We're really, really blessed to be here. There's pros and cons to it. There's things we miss. There's people we miss, but ultimately Spanish culture is pretty mellow. And we knew that coming in. I think if you came in thinking, okay, I'm going to grind, or I'm going to get a lot done, like you could in the States, like if you work online, but to get a lot done here is people are like, well, chill out. Let's have a glass of wine and talk together. And lunch is usually 2 to 3 hours. And that's, I mean, it's sort of stereotypical, but it's very true. So long answer to that, I say, yeah, we really enjoy it here.
Oh, dude, that's so cool. I mean, if you think about it, that's really what, we're here to build businesses, to live a life by design. And you're really just a perfect example of someone who's done that. So if you're there by choice and you guys are enjoying the experience and you're still running Wild Oak Capital and have your coaching program, I mean, kudos to you, man. You're living the dream. So I think we should start off with that. But I'm curious to know how you got to where you are, how you got to being able to live in Spain for a couple of years, how you picked Spain, how you built Wild Oak Capital. I mean, 1,000 units. That's a huge portfolio, man. Give us a quick synopsis of how you got to where you are.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a long story, but I started with single family. I think a lot of people will kind of resonate with this. I mean, for me, I was an engineer by trade. My first job out of college, I was lucky to have it because I graduated in like 2009 from college. I'm sort of dating myself, but that was a pretty tough time to get a job. And so when I did, I felt more lucky and blessed to have a job than anything, because lots of my friends and people graduating with me were just sort of stuck, right? Or doing something they didn't want to do. And so I was able to learn and grow. But at the same time, I mean, I always hated punching the clock. I hated like working for someone else and like really counting those vacation days, and you know what I mean? And then the other thing was like, I was looking at the retirement package they gave me. And I was like, I'm in this 35 plus year range. I mean, there was like these ranges that you choose the risk profile. And this is the first time I was exposed to investing, really, to be honest. I was like, man, I'm going to be here for 35 years. And I just like heart sunk,
Yeah.
So I went out and I started an engineering company, and I thought by being an entrepreneur and starting a business that I sort of would have freedom. But the reality is I just bought a different job. I mean, I had a partner, we could kind of leave, but it was still, you kind of had to be there to make money. And so ultimately I started looking at, okay, what are ways that I could make income passively? And so we talk a lot about, but some are more passive than others. I mean, like if you're going to flip houses, that's a great thing and a great income, but that's not passive unless you have a really good team. Ultimately, you're still kind of working. So what I was looking for was kind of passive real estate. Anyway, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just buying single family houses. And so we got a little small portfolio going. And then I honestly just luckily met a guy who was doing multifamily, and he was doing syndication, which I'd never heard of at the time. And he was like kind of a coach. I mean, he's like kind of starting out in coaching. And I was like, man, I would love to learn. And so I just hired him. And we can come back to that. I think hiring a coach or being some sort of mastermind is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
But he was like, all right, here's what I'm doing, and kind of showed me the ropes and sort of coached me through it all. And I had a bunch of fears. Again, we can dive into those too. One of the fears is partnerships, but it turns out that was incredibly foolish. Like, you can go so much further with partnerships. And that was the fear I had to get over. But once I did, I found a couple people who were really great partners, and we just sort of dove in. And this was 2019-ish. Started buying properties. 2020 was a weird time, as we all know. I mean, you were like, uh-oh, hit the brakes for about a month. And all of a sudden we're like, wait, foot on the gas, actually. There's a bunch of
Totally.
cash being infused. So we bought a bunch of stuff in 20, 21, 22, 23. 24 was a tough year for everyone in multifamily. We have to date not lost any investor capital. We've never had a capital call, but unfortunately, I know lots of people who have. And even in a mastermind we're in, some really good guys had made some missteps or maybe just had bad luck. Rates climbing and insurance climbing, some of that stuff's not anyone's fault, but people had kind of got crushed in 23, 24.
Yeah.
Luckily, we got out of that unscathed. And now, quite honestly, I'm like super bullish on multifamily. So I'm all in. We're acquiring as we speak.
That's awesome, dude. And I love that because I feel that sentiment too. It was, the fish were like jumping in the boat 2000, 2021, 2022, and it seemed like nobody could get hurt. And now some of these, I just don't understand. I mean, obviously no one did it on purpose, but to see these things with insurance and rates, I don't know how it couldn't have been underwritten in a very conservative manner. It's like, it seems like something that's like the one thing that you have to focus on as far as underwriting is what could happen. And rates and insurance and taxes are three of the biggest things that you can account for. So it's frustrating to see that, but also I'm not on the inside. I'm not running a fund or syndication or anything like that. I'm actively buying and investing, and I do my own underwriting. But that's one of those things, man. I hate to see so many people getting burned, all these notes coming up and rates adjusting. It's a good time to be bullish if you're ready to go, where I wouldn't say there's like blood in the streets, but there's definitely plenty of opportunity, I would say, in this multifamily space, right?
I think so too. And lots of people are kind of running away. I completely agree. Not to dive too far into here. And, again, like we could have easily been burned. There was a handful of things that I recall. I remember being in 2021, basically once we were allowed to kind of go back to conferences, I remember going to the pretty big conference and there was a lender on stage talking about bridge debt. He's like, bridge debt's the best thing in the world, sub 3 rates at times. And like the room's like cheering. And I'm looking around like, am I the only one who knows that these are like variable and short term? And I always just like had this gut feel of we shouldn't be doing this, right? But lots of people were like, yes, 2.75 for 2 years and I'll get out of it, blah, blah. And you underwrite to a 3.5% rate, right? But then all of a sudden in 2 years, it's more like 7. Yeah, you got crushed. And again, I think I could have easily been in there because the majority of the group was saying, hey, this is the way to go. And I just got lucky in the sense that like I had this gut feel of, man, variable sounds dangerous. Short term sounds dangerous. I think people were underwriting, even if they were quote unquote being conservative to maybe a higher rate, but nobody, to be totally fair in the other way, if you're going to look in the other way, a good friend of mine, he just lost a deal, lost 100% of investor capital. Huge loss. I mean, you and I both know several people who that's happened to are good guys. And I called him and I was like, man, what happened? And just, between you and me, and of course I won't name his name, but he's like, here's what happened. We bought a property with 4% rate. When we went to refinance 2 years later, it was at 8.5 and our insurance had tripled. He's like, and those variables you couldn't have accounted for. So we just basically got out and lost all investor money. We were barely able to pay off the note. And so if you're really being kind of like on the other side, like I kind of feel for people like that. I mean, he was crushed, he had to tell all of his investors, sorry, you're getting nothing back.
Yeah, I mean,
That said, there were some missteps, right? Like I agree with you.
Well, I mean, nobody wants to lose money, and we all go into this thinking that we're going to be the next sliced bread. But it's, I think it speaks to you and maybe some wisdom that you had looking around, because usually when everyone is cheering, gives you a minute to pause and look around and say, what's in the Kool-Aid, maybe, or just,
Right.
or at least even if you end up going along with it, just taking that second just to ponder and say, what if? I know my experience was back in 2007, 8, 9, and 10. I got nuked. And so I had all the property that I owned. Bridge debt, 3-year, 5-year ARMs was like the holy grail of loans. And now for me, after having been through that experience, and I just lost my own capital. Unfortunately, I didn't have investors at that point. But so I am always the one who's thinking, when I'm underwriting, man, the rates, like, let's just write it at a number that just doesn't even make sense. And that way, when you do buy the deal, you're the hero because hopefully it's never going to get to the point, but at a minimum, I think you should have like a scorched earth policy for an investment, what to do as like a fail safe, or just what that conversation looks like, or what that scenario looks like as a prudent investor. I'm curious, like, tell me about Wild Oak Capital and kind of the thesis behind that company and how you guys kind of invest
Appreciate that.
now.
I appreciate the question. I think we do kind of a really big analysis of best case and worst case, and we share that with our investors. And I think that's, to your point, like kind of the scorched earth thing. I'm always really clear to investors to say, look, it is possible to lose all your money. The more likely scenarios, you don't make as much as we hoped, or maybe we only give you your capital back, but it's possible to lose money and all of your capital, right? So I'm always like really clear about that. But our philosophy at Wild Oak is people first. And so I'm going to kind of take a step back from scorched earth and sort of get back into why I love multifamily. And some people say, why don't you use self-storage or other things like that? And truthfully, like, I really love residential. I really love being part of the housing situation, right? And I'm not going to say it's a solution. We're not doing that, but um, providing a better place for people to live. So like for our properties, we have a monthly event every month, and that's something simple, right? Like a pizza night or coffee or taco truck or slip and slides in the summer. Kids love that. Or like back to school supplies, or like simple things, but it kind of creates a community. And that's the thing I really love. And it doesn't have to be hard. The cool thing is, like, you add a playground to a property. Like I have young-ish kids, mine are 5 and 7, but when I had really young kids, if I would have had an apartment that looked out to a playground where like other kids were playing, I could chill there as an adult and sip coffee or whatever. That was like, man, that would be perfect, especially as a new parent. So I think about things like that. Like if we add a playground to our units, you can't really charge more rent for that, but you're creating a really cool experience, and you probably are going to create some return for your investor in the sense that like there might be good reviews and people coming to stay longer, all those things. And so it's kind of this cool blend of making a place better to live and also providing good return for our investors. So it's kind of this marry of both. Our motto at Wild Oak Capital is people first. So it's like, it's number in a business, but ultimately this is someone's home, and we want to treat it like that, right? So that's kind of our philosophy.
Yeah, that's a great philosophy. Well, because they don't have to be like mutually exclusive. Like you can provide a great home, a great environment, a great community, and make money. It's not like one has to come at the cost of the other. And I think so many investors have that mindset. Like in order to make money in real estate, you've got to be like a slumlord, and it's just couldn't be farther from the truth in my experience. And I just, that resonates with me because I had a multifamily property in South Carolina that was 61 units, and it was just a dog with fleas. And we tried everything to just improve it as best we could. And at a certain point, we kind of maxed out on what we could do. But um, I didn't want to own properties like that anymore because of just kind of the way that it made me feel on a certain point. I couldn't improve things beyond a threshold because of the nature of the asset. And after that, we disposed of that. And I told myself I was only going to invest in quality properties that would provide a place for people where they really could enjoy, a good life and have a good place to live. So
Yeah,
I
completely agree.
appreciate that. I like
I
that.
think that, I think there are some properties like that. And this is the unfortunate truth that maybe it's a part of town that has high crime, or maybe it has a reputation, or maybe it's just a really tough property, right? Like some properties are just going to be really challenging to overcome that. So I'm with you. We have this kind of motto as well, as like a place that we'd be proud to own. And I've lived in apartments through college and after college. I mean, it's like, I want this to be sort of a stepping stone for people. If people want to live there forever, great. But what I'm trying to say is, would I live there? Would I be proud to own it? Is it clean? All those things, right? Like that's what we want to be. That's what we want to be really proud of. Like one of our properties, I would say we overspent on like cleaning it up, because there was like trash and all kinds of stuff going on. It was like this. Anyway, it's kind of a long story, but we spent a ton of money to make it super clean. And yes, again, it's like you can't charge more rent for that, but you can sleep at night. You're like, man, this place is clean, and we're excited about it. So things like that. I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree.
Yeah. And plus, if you have investor capital, a lot of times these investors, even though they are passive, man, they're proud to be part of your team. If they were to go through one of these properties and see it, like you have to make it show ready at all times for so many reasons. Just because that's something they want to be proud to be a part of, and that speaks to your fund and how you guys operate as an MO. So I'm curious, are most of the holdings that you guys have, all in the United States, and in what states?
Yep, all in the U.S. Properties we only buy in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and actually one specific market in Texas. So There's good reason for that. I believe, there's people who buy all over. That's not my philosophy. We have partnered with people in like Cleveland Metro. We're not the lead GP. I'm really good friends with those people. They've been doing real estate for 20 years. And so we jumped in to help them with some investor relations and stuff. So if you look at our portfolio, you're like, dude, you're in Pennsylvania. You're like in Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas. But when we're the lead GP, it's only one market in Texas. We love our partnership there in Arkansas and Oklahoma. And again, the reason is basically, in my opinion, property management is the linchpin of our business. If you can find a killer property manager that they're super, super good, that can make a medium deal a great deal. And it can definitely go the other way too. So we have found two standing property managers in those markets. And so we're like, that's the only place we buy because we totally align with them. We love their style. Both women who own those companies are just like rock stars. They're just really good at communication, care about people like we do. So I can go on, but basically to answer the question, Oklahoma and Arkansas, and again, one market in Texas.
I hear you. That's so wise too, because it's so tempting to go to other markets when you see what's available, and generally there's a reason for why it's available and the price it is. So I think I'm a big proponent of like, stick to what you know, stick to what you're good at, and stick to an area that you have confidence and you have resources, because people will be the reason you either fail or succeed with an investment all the time. You could have the best property in the world, and if you don't have the right team helping you maintain it, helping you manage it, helping you place tenants and stuff like that, dude, it can just be like such a slippery slope. And so I think that's awesome. Property management is part of my background. I've been doing this for 21 years now. I mean, we recently segued just into commercial management, but I know the value of a good property manager.
Yes, you do. I mean, you know better than most. I mean, I'm sure you do an outstanding job. And that's the thing is, once someone finds you, at least in my experience, and you're doing a good job, they're never going to let you go. They're only going to buy in your market. And you create this kind of like special bubble, so to speak, where people want to work directly with you. And so they're out there just going to hire you over and over and over. I think property management is a great business. It's a lot of work from what I understand. I mean, just a lot of work. But if there's a great property manager, a good property can become outstanding. And so, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's extremely valuable.
Yeah, the unsung heroes of the industry.
That's right.
So tell me this, what is kind of part of the thesis, I guess, of this show is to let someone listen to it and say, man, Eric's got a huge business, 1,000 units under management and ownership. Like, how could I do that? Did you have a strategic like plan or a blueprint mapped out when you started Wild Oak, or was it, let's just get in touch with some people and see what happens?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you know Aaron Velke. I was just talking to him about this. I didn't really have a vision. I mean, I created this vivid vision. I think I'm a huge proponent of that. I think if you can create a 3 to 5 year vision for your life, that's a super powerful tool. So I will say I did have a vision with the Wild Oak. I mean, we wanted to grow it. We had this sort of view of where we're going. My life has taken a different turn only in the sense that we moved out of the country. But as far as the business goes, we still run it similar to what we kind of, and I will say half of 23 and 24, we took a pretty big pause, and it wasn't really on purpose. We were still underwriting, we were still looking, but deals weren't penciling. And to your point, we're not going to buy something that doesn't pencil. It was painful. I mean, it was like 18 months of like, man, are we ever going to buy another deal? Now our foot is on the gas because we're kind of, honestly, things have flipped. I mean, we're seeing more deals than we can handle right now. But basically like from the get-go, we set out to grow, as big as we could get, only in smart growth. So I guess what I'm trying to say, we have this vision of buying 4 to 5 deals a year and eventually selling 4 to 5 a year. So we have this sort of pace of buy, sell. And people always say, well, why don't you hold, right? We can get into that too. Multifamily investors want to see an exit. They want to invest with you when they want to know, how long is my money tied up? And so it's not really the same as single family or maybe other real estate in the sense that you're buy and hold. There really is kind of an end date. It's kind of a long flip is the way I describe our business. People invest with you, you improve the property, you improve the NOI, and then you sell it and you give your investors a return and you kind of move on. And that's kind of our business. And it's kind of a fun one. I mean, it would be nice to hold some of them for sure that are performing well, but investors do want their capital back. There are some gems that we could give investors their money fully back, hold on to it for a long period, and everyone's happy. I mean, has happened to us and is fairly rare, but those would be sweet to do more. But to answer the question is basically like, we set out to buy and sell more or less one per quarter because we think that we can handle that pace. We know that we have good team together. Again, I shared my fear of partnering. But ultimately, once I got over that fear, we've built a really good team. And back to what you said about people, I mean, people are everything. If you have really good people on your team, the sky's the limit. if you have people that, aren't really ready to do work or aren't really ready to put in some hours when they're necessary, that's a challenge. And so we have people, I couldn't say enough about our team, just all together is a very, very good group. We're all aligned and we're kind of all headed in the right direction. The other thing about multifamily, to be totally honest, is once the property is acquired, there's really not that much work. If you have a really good business plan, a really good property manager, and a really good asset manager, things always go wrong. Things break, things change, but the idea is to solve the problem quickly and keep on the path. And that's kind of what we're good at. It's like we meet weekly on every single property. I look at the books on every single property every single month and like where are we versus where we said we were going to be and what's going wrong or what's going really well, and just kind of always gauging where are we, what's doing right. And just a really good team is kind of the long answer to your question.
And so are you guys buying mostly stuff that is just, you can just kind of brighten up a little bit? You're not doing heavy lift like value add stuff. It sounds like you're buying nice things that you can kind of just go in and maybe add amenities or clean up. So it's not really backbreaking work. It's just stabilized, continue to maintain and manage.
I would say we're kind of in the middle. So to your point, I don't want to do a heavy lift. I don't want to go in there with 50% occupancy and have crazy renovation. That's just not our business. But a perfect property, and one, handful that we've bought kind of fit neatly in this perfect property, would be like a C-class property, a B-class neighborhood, where some owner has just maybe neglected a few things. Still high occupancy because probably rents are below where they should be. Like, I'm describing a perfect property, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But just maybe didn't have enough capital. I'll give you an example. We're buying one now where the owner just basically sort of ran out of capital. They've owned the property for like 15 years. And so it's kind of just coasted along. And so they kept rents low to keep it occupied. So we come in there like, man, this place could use a rehab. Maybe a better word for it is a facelift. And rents are super low for what they could be for the market, but they just kept them low just because they were historically low and also didn't have a lot of money for CapEx. So we'll come in with a pretty good budget and we'll say, okay, the things that aren't fun is it needs a new roof. It needs new siding. It needs some new doors. It needs new stairs, things like this that aren't like fun value add, so to speak, but really make the property like solid bones. And then we say, okay, now what's the fun part? The fun part is countertops and flooring and lighting and fixtures. And then, of course, the exterior stuff, like I was saying, like new sidewalks, new landscaping, a playground, dog park, things like that are super fun. So we come in and do all those things. Everything I said, all those things aren't hard. You hire a roofing contractor, I mean, it can be very expensive, but it's not hard. They'll just like boom, 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 boom. A week, you got a new roof. Right? Stairs, hire a carpenter, boom, they're done. Interior stuff, a lot of our team handles that because we don't ever kick people out. That's the other thing is we let leases come due. So once a unit turns, meaning they move on, our team goes in there, turns it up, and then rinse it up. So none of it's all that difficult, quite honestly, but we don't want to do like a heavy lift or like be developers. We're just in kind of the facelift business and making it a better property. And then, I would say the pro and con is that we get rents up. And what that does a lot of times is some people who live there can't afford the new rent. That's the one unfortunate thing I will say is sometimes we're like, man, I'm really sorry. This is the new rent. What we'll do in those scenarios where someone's a great tenant is we'll say, okay, how about this? We'll raise your rent halfway from where it is now to where market is. But we'll come in and we'll do a handful of things to your property. We'll even let them choose. We'll even say, hey, do you want a new faucet? Do you want a new ceiling fan? Do you want new paint? And then you can stay in your unit. Your rent's going to come up a little, but it won't be totally all the way up because you've been a good tenant. And a lot of people are excited about that. So we have some solutions to that.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately it does a lot of times turn over into a different tenant class, which is fine too. It's just a reality of what we do. And ultimately I think it creates a better place for people to live. Again, what you want to do is you want to find that sweet spot of where's the market and then what community can you create that those people want to live there a long time together.
Yeah, that sounds like I can hear that. That's kind of what your MO is so your real skill set lies in finding the right deal. Because not everything, your buy box seems like it's very exclusive. And so that's what you guys specialize in is kind of what I'm hearing is finding those right opportunities where you can get the C unit in the B neighborhood, bring it up in a very appropriate manner, and then have it start performing for you guys.
Yeah, I have a kind of a painful stat that I did. I counted how many properties we'd underwritten versus how many we bought, and it landed nearly 300. So we look at 300 properties for every one we actually closed on, which is kind of an insane number. But to your point, I mean, we're looking for kind of a diamond in the rough, and we can underwrite pretty fast. So it's not like we're spending hours and hours and hours. It's like 30 minutes, but still, I mean, you do the math. It's a lot of hours and a lot of emails and a lot of broker relationship and a lot of throwing LOIs out there. I mean, we throw a ton of LOIs out there knowing it's probably unlikely we're going to get it, but that's kind of the name of the game. It's like this numbers thing. And then now we have a reputation, luckily, that brokers are calling us. The flip, like we've sort of flipped it around where they say, hey, you guys do a good job. We like what you're doing. This one fits your buy box. Do you want it? And that's what happened on our latest deals. It was the broker called me. That's a pretty cool thing. And I just like an encouragement to your listeners. It takes a long time to get there, but if you do a really good job and you really care about it and you're really nice to the brokers, eventually you get to the point where you're at the top of the list. And I'm proud to say that with a couple of folks in a couple of areas, we're finally there. It takes a lot of effort to be there, though.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, man. Yeah, that's the thing. Like a broker needs a buyer, and a buyer needs a broker. So as tough as they all want to be, sometimes we all need each other to make this relationship work. But kudos to you, just because, like you said, 300 to 1. That's the kind of guy I want to put my money with. So even though it's a lot of work for you, it means that you're shaking off 299, dogs to find the right ones. And that probably speaks to why you guys haven't done capital calls and why you guys are still performing right now. So I want to switch gears for a second. You mentioned Aaron Velke. Shout out to Aaron. That guy's awesome. Coaching, mentorship is something I'm a huge believer of. Obviously, we're in GoBundance together. That's been just a tremendous experience for me. Tell me about how important that is to you. And I know you have a community as well that I wanted you to mention so my listeners can learn about that. But how important has that been to your success?
I mean, honestly, what I tell people is the path to success in any sort of endeavor starts with putting yourself in the right room. And in most cases, that's basically being in a room of people doing the things you want to do or mentorship of some kind or both, right? So like people ask me, how did you get your success? I'm like, well, I had a really good coach and I joined a couple of masterminds. And so kind of the simple answer to that is I invested in myself. And it seems painful at times, right? Like masterminds can be very expensive. We were talking offline at the price of GoBundance. This is not cheap. But I will say, once you're in that room, you get questions immediately answered. You get brand new ideas. You get new partnerships. You get clarity. I mean, all kinds of stuff you can't speak to enough. So I would say a mastermind is like one of my favorite things in the world, or community. And then one-on-one coaching is person to person. I mean, it could be great, but I think if you're listening, if there's something you're trying to do, put yourself in a room of folks either ahead or also trying to do that same thing, and you'll break free. The cost is worth it. I'm not trying to sell mine here. I mean, I appreciate you allowing me to shout it out, but anything you're doing, right? Even if you're like becoming the best sewer in the world, find like the sewers Facebook group and, like
Yeah.
follow those people doing the stuff you want to do. And that's the path to success. So very long answer to say, I accredit so much of any success to groups and mentorships.
When I first joined, I spoke to Aaron. We had a great call. Man, I felt like through a Zoom call, I felt like we were like boys right after that. And then he gave me a couple exercises to do with casting the vision and gaining clarity. His MO is like, get out of your own way, right? Man, those are questions that I have never asked myself. I've been in business, like I said, for 21 years. I've always worked for myself. To sit down with a pen and paper and try and work through some of those exercises have been I'm still working on them. It's been a year of trying to make my way through these to where I can glean enough out of them to put into action. It's like a heavy thing to do.
It is, yeah. It's always ongoing. You're never going to be like, okay, I solved that problem, meaning yourself. Yeah, Aaron, I mean, he's a kind of an intense person, but incredible coach. And he's like the perfect person for someone who needs like, hope I can cuss here, kind of a kick in the ass, right? Like kind of all right, let's get this going. Get out of your own way is the perfect way. I had a session with him, like a half-day session with him in Scottsdale in person. And it was even more like, and I'm not really a note taker. Like I go to a conference, honestly, I'll like half-page notes, maybe. I probably should be better at that, but I'm just not. In one like 4-hour session, I like 8 pages. I was just like, this is so good. Like, don't forget this. He's that kind of guy that just spills incredible information and sort of like breaks you down to realize, okay, there's a lot left to do. And that's cool. I mean, the thing is like, I think sometimes coaching people think it's like, what's wrong with me? No, that's not the thing. It's more like, how can you improve or how can you head towards the person you want to be, And if you think deeply, it's like, yeah, could I be a better dad? Yeah. Could I be a better husband? Absolutely. How do I get to those things? And that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it too. It's not I'm broken, I need fixing, I need a coach to put me back together. It's just, how can I just get optimized? How can I get better? What could I be doing that I don't even know about? That's the biggest thing for
Exactly.
me that a lot of these coaches and mentors have have imparted on me is like seeing dudes that are doing things. I'm like, I didn't even know that was an option. And I go, holy crap.
It opens
Like
your mind
it's
like, whoa, that's cool.
yeah, it's worth the price of admission every time. Right now, tell us kind of what you're working on right now. You're in Spain. Tell us where your business is headed in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. So one thing I am really proud of my mastermind. I just think it's something I've been working on to build a community. Exactly what we said, right? Like GoBundant's a community of all kinds of people doing all kinds of things, which is really wonderful. But I'm also building a community specific to multifamily, which I wish I would have had. And there are others out there, but the price tag was kind of crazy. And so it's like building a community that I think is reachable for most people, but also building a group of people who are highly motivated and really headed towards multifamily. And then bringing in guests into that weekly to just kind of talk to people and let them ask their questions and all that stuff. So that's kind of one thing I've been working on outside of real estate. To answer your question, like I said, we're trying to acquire. We have 2 under contract now, so we will kind of continue this acquiring thing at the pace of 4 to 5 a year. I don't want to go nuts and outpace ourselves. I really want to be able to say, yeah, we can handle these and do a great job on all of these. The problem is sometimes when it rains, it pours. You see 4 deals at once, and you kind of have to like, I can't handle these all right. You just have to pass on some, unfortunately. But so anyway, we'll continue at that pace of the goal, and then grow the mastermind. Is my plans, and I'm just going to be very honest here. I don't want to work that much right now. I'm in a season of spending time with my kids and my family in Spain. And so I put a lot of emphasis on blocking my calendar. Something like this, I'd love to do. I love podcasts. It's absolutely an honor to be here. 100% always will use my time for this. But if there's things that are kind of like, I don't know, dreamy or out of the way, or maybe some future thing, I've kind of put those things on hold, at least for the time being. We will return to the States and then maybe I'll tackle those. But I just want to focus on really the mastermind in our multifamily business at the moment.
That's so cool though, man. It's really a good way to establish by saying no to so many things. You're saying yes to the things that are really important to you. And if you just simplify, like I'm in Spain, my main focus is my family, my mastermind, and Wild Oak. That's cool, man. That's enough. And you can really probably do a lot just by focusing on those 3 things. And yeah, if you're over there, you have to enjoy the experience. Otherwise, what's the point? People work their whole lives to try and get this opportunity. You can't go there and then just stick your nose in your laptop the whole time.
That's right. Yeah, no, I mean, and some people disagree, right? I mean, I have plenty of friends who they love the like hustle culture and they love the grind, and good on them. And I've been there too. I've been in these times where I worked a lot of hours just because I enjoyed solving problems and blah, 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 right? But right now is not that time. So I appreciate that, because I think teach their own, and there's no judgment either way, but I know it's not for everybody. But for me right now in this season, the less I can work while still doing a very, very good job is sort of the goal.
Okay. So kind of an off-topic question then, because this is your business. Are you like sniffing around in real estate over there, or you just got your head down?
Can't help it. I am. And I have a couple friends who are in real estate, and they're kind of like, hey, you want to invest with me? And so I think the simple answer is yeah. One thing about me is I'm a very, I don't know, like let's just say, for example, like the SEC rules of syndication. Like I have a reputation for following them to a T. And that's just because I don't want to get investors busted, right? So here's a good example. I don't know tax implications of real estate here. So when my buddy was like, let's invest, I'm like, okay, cool. But let's talk with an attorney and understand what that looks like first. So I'm going to kind of figure out the nuts and bolts first before I dive in. And the simple answer is, yeah, I mean, the market here looks cool. We love it here. So my suspicion is we'll probably own some real estate here by the time we get home.
Yeah. How did you pick Spain?
Yeah, good question. I mean, the simple answer is we wanted to learn more Spanish. And so we kind of looked at South America. We really love South America. We traveled there before, and then we looked at Mexico. We love it there too. But part of showing our kids as much culture as we could, we kind of landed on Europe. We're like, man, you can get to a lot of places. And like my 5-year-old's been to 11 countries this year. And that's pretty hard to get, when you're in North America for that matter. But it's just super easy to travel here and super inexpensive. And the education is outstanding at the school we have. So there's a lot of factors, but we wanted to be on the beach. We wanted to learn Spanish, and we wanted show our kids some of their cultures. And so we kind of landed on Spain, and the weather pushed us to this part of the world. It's really, really good weather, lots of sun, and near the beach. So it was a long process, but that's why.
Dude, you're speaking my language, man. My brother lives overseas, and his kids they have more stamps on their passport than like all of my friends combined. They've seen things, done things, and have more of a life experience. It's so rich that what a gift to give your family, and just what a fun freaking thing to do, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
appreciate it.
So right now, so you've got your head down, you've got your three things that you're focusing on. Where are you going for like inspiration? Or what are you listening to? What are you reading? How do you stay fresh?
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about we kind of joked about the internet being a wild place, I think offline even, but it is that way. I mean, basically, I have the same exact things that I had at home. So just by living here, the world now is so connected. I really love podcasts. I mean, podcasts like this are things that give me inspiration. Go Abundance. I did actually go to the Utah event. I don't know if you were there. So I
Yeah.
flew back to the States, and man, I don't know if you did that breathwork session, but that was like game changing. It was like a life changer. Did you go to that one that morning?
No, man, I'm so
Okay.
pissed because I was
Sorry,
like, I'm gonna
sorry to like rub it in. It was super cool
yeah.
though.
No, that's like on my list to go to, and I'm going to the next event like specifically for that. Everyone came out of that thing like a different human. I'm like, what the
Yeah, it
frick?
was
What
like
did I
that for me.
miss?
It was incredible. But I mean, the event itself was insane. And I'm a huge skier. I'm from Colorado. So like I kind of had to go to that winter event. Honestly, my wife is super cool. She was like, yeah, you can fly. I mean, I was jet lagging like crazy, but it's super worth it. But communities, I get a lot out of my mastermind. I mean, super selfishly, I get a lot out of that. People ask questions. We have a WhatsApp chat. And it's just fun to be in there and watch people answer and grow and learn. And so it's kind of the same stuff. I have shifted gears a little bit on reading. I've been reading like fun books. This is maybe just because I turned 40, but like reading books on like the meaning of life, things like that. That's kind of fun. There is no answer, right? And that's what's so frustrating about reading those books is it's not like there's an answer in a book, but it's just kind of fun to like think about pondering like, what's it all for? What's the reason we're here? What are we doing this for? And it just makes me ponder what's the most valuable thing in my life. And so that's kind of what I've been doing lately.
Yeah, that's great, man. You're inspiring me. I think that's really cool. I got a couple more questions here. Where do you see the biggest opportunities right now? And I know multifamily, that's your wheelhouse, and there has been lots of talk about that market has imploded or is imploding, blah, blah, blah. Where do you see like the most opportunity right now for entrepreneurs in this space?
Good question. I mean, the simple answer is yeah. I mean, I know multifamily, so I think that's a good opportunity. At the same time, like it is true, there's a little bit of risk right now because there's a lot of market volatility. So I think, I think there's always opportunity in land. So I know some land flippers who get some, things together and have it sort of ready for shovel ready and sell. I think there's some opportunity there in certain markets.
Mhm.
What I will say is, in my opinion, if you come in, I don't know, 200 miles from each coastline of the United States. And I really mean that. Like, cancel California, cancel the whole West Coast, cancel the whole East Coast, including Florida. Stay away from Gulf Coast because hurricane and insurance stuff. I'm not a huge fan of Arizona, but basically the center of America. All of those markets have opportunity in real estate, in my opinion. Central America is just like this honeypot of hundreds of markets that make sense. And it doesn't have to be multifamily. If you are buying, let's just say Indianapolis, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, I mean, you can name literally hundreds.
Mhm.
Go there and buy rental properties of any form, in my opinion, is never a bad thing. And so I think there's opportunity kind of everywhere outside of, again, like outside of the edges. And I think, there's the old adage like, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And I'm a huge fan of that. Even if you bought real estate in Oklahoma City and it went down 20%, let's say the market crashed, wait 10 years and that price will have doubled. So I think there's always opportunity in real estate.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I love real estate to the core. It is. It's just a game. It's about duration, and it's the thing that a lot of people just misconstrue is they want to get rich in real estate, but real estate is investment. Otherwise, there's real estate speculation. That's a totally different lane. That's when you want to see things appreciate. You want things to blow up overnight, to get rich quick. But real estate investment for the folks that are here for the long haul, that are playing the game, it's just wait, man. Just try and live as
That's
long
it.
as you
I
can.
know it is boring, dude. In fact, I tell our investors that I'm like, we kind of have this boring game and I don't want to belabor this too much, but everyone I know who's bought real estate and waited a long time has done pretty well. And, and yeah, 2007, 8, 9, I mean, those years were a struggle, but that was actually a huge opportunity for other people too. I mean, it's basically like, however you look at it, but I think the point is you wait long enough, you're going to make a significant amount of money in real estate.
Just have some fun in the meantime. So
Try to, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Some final thoughts, man. If you weren't living in Spain right now and owning 1,000 units, what would you be doing?
I gotta say, our life in Colorado was pretty good. I'm a huge mountain biker, a huge skier, so we had a good life and a good place to be. I love Southwest Colorado, if I'm pinpointing it, and I love mountain biking. So I actually just rode today, and I'm super blessed that I have a bike here as well. But I probably would be out on a boat in the summer and I'd be riding my bike, and then in the winter I'd be skiing. So that's probably what I'd be doing.
I love it, dude. That's awesome. Okay, 2 more questions I have to throw in, actually, even though we're running short on time. Are you an F1 fan? Because I know the Spanish Grand Prix is coming up in 2 weeks.
It is. And I'm always behind because I'm watching the Netflix special. I usually don't keep up
Yeah.
with the current series. There's funny things that I've gotten into coming here, but I actually talked to my wife. The tickets aren't that expensive, so we may end up going. Sloan one's coming up. I'm a fan. I'm
Yes.
not a huge fan, but it'd be really cool to go in person.
I think so, dude. Fernando
Yeah.
Alonso, see him in his home turf. Carlos Sainz. Oh man, it's going to be a great one. And it's triple header starting this weekend, so I'm pumped. Also, just we talked offline for a second. You had a podcast that you kind of put on the brakes for a little bit. I think I was looking at all the guests you've had, man. Tremendous like repertoire right there. You spoke to a lot of smart people that are really like some of the biggest players in the industries. I'm just trying to be like you, man. I just want to give you one more thumbs up and kudos to you for doing such a great job with that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a good run. And I think you're right. I mean, when you do a podcast, you probably know it's sort of a selfish endeavor. You get to talk to really smart people and learn all kinds of stuff. I mean, I would come out of every podcast like energized. So good. I would say that turn it around on you. Kudos to you. This is a great podcast for those of you guys listening. I mean, stick with it and it's going to get better and better. So appreciate the kind words, but you're doing the thing that I miss. We said offline, I shouldn't have shut it down. So keep at it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, where can folks learn more about you, find you, follow you, and learn about your community as well?
Yeah, thanks. The website's ericnelsoncoaching.com. You can find a link to the mastermind there. And then I'm on Instagram. It's probably the one I'm on most is Eric Nelson Coaching. And then Wild Oak Capital is kind of where you find out about me. So my email, I'll just throw it out there, is Eric at Wild Oak Capital. I love talking to people. So if you're listening to this, shoot me an email if you want to talk about Spain, living abroad, investing, any of that stuff. I'd love to chat.
Awesome. And I'm going to follow up with you if you go to the Grand Prix. We need to reconnect here in a couple of weeks so I can hear how that goes for you.
Sounds good, man.
Awesome, man. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. This is Christian Cardamone. This is the Build Better Blueprint. That's Mr. Eric Nelson from across the pond, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
That's it, folks. That's our show. Thanks as always for listening. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe to our channel so you are up to date with the latest episodes. Feel free to share with your friends and keep up the great work. You are on the right path. See you at the top.